Okay, we are recording. So online.
Hey everybody, welcome to the February 12th meeting of the Board of Professional Engineers, Architects, Surveyors, and Landscape Architects. We will kick off the meeting with a short video.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have Vice Chair Nancy Cassandro read some information about internet access and phone access.
Internet access. To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You may fill in this field with any entry in an email format, such as at gmail.com. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raised hand button found on your Zoom screen to testify about that agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. Upon request, your Zoom video or similar on-camera option will be enabled to allow you to be visible to the board members and other meeting participants while presenting an oral testimony. Please turn off your camera after you conclude your testimony. It is the individual testifier's responsibility to ensure that they have video and internet capabilities to successfully stream or remotely testify. The board maintains the authority to remove and block individuals who will disrupt or compromise the conduct of the meeting. Phone access. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you wish to testify by entering the asterisk key and then the number 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering the asterisk key and then the number 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing the asterisk key and then the number 6 on your phone. The voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter the asterisk key and then the number 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access when testifying, you will be active by yourself and the organization, if any that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specific date and time. This information will be provided on the board's website. Instructions to attend the State of Hawaii virtual board meetings may also be found online at the board's website.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to take roll call now. For everyone, as I read your name, please indicate that you're present. For those of you participating on Zoom, please confirm that you are present and alone. So Kevin Katayama, excused. Clayton Pang. Here. Howard Lau. Here. Brian Fujiwara. Here. Don Lucas, excused. John Hakatani.
Here and alone.
Kei Ishibashi, excused. Janet Primiano.
Here.
Are you alone?
I'm alone.
Sounds good.
Nancy Cassandro.
Here.
Joel Kurokawa.
Here.
Alan Inaba. Here. Alyssa Carson.
Here.
And I am Tony Lau. Seeing we have a quorum, calling the meeting to order at 10:10 a.m. As a reminder, board members, before you speak, please state your name each time before you speak. Agenda item number 2, approval of the executive session minutes of the August 14th, 2025 meeting, and open session and executive session minutes of October 9, 2025, and December 11, 2025 meeting. Are there any comments?
I'll move to approve.
Brian, for you want second? Okay. For discussion, I have a couple of comments. On the October 9th open session minutes on page 5, at the very bottom under applications, more than administrative change, need to verify that the motion was seconded by someone other than Vice Chair Tony Lau, because Tony Lau was not present at the meeting. Similar administrative change is on executive session minutes for Thursday, October 9th. On the second page, the last motion, motion by Mr. Fujiwara, seconded by Vice Chair Tony Lau, that needs to be corrected. Any other discussion?
And those were both open session and executive session from October.
Yes.
I have a recording. I can update that and go. Maybe I can even update that into it.
Okay, so you just vote on the amendment. Okay, all in favor of the amended minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Agenda item number 3, new business. A, email inquiry from Mr. Murakami regarding a Department of Planning and Permitting comment requesting the board distinguish which discipline of professional engineer a particular element of project plan should fall under, mechanical or civil. Is there any public testimony?
None.
At this time, I'm going to read a quick summary of Mr. Murakami's email inquiry. This page here before a setting and the public as well. This is about the Civic Center parking structure, a 2-story parking structure that is covered with landscaping and lawn and an early education center. The top deck of the parking structure has below grade water treatment and expansion joints that have been leaking and is causing structural damages. They will be removing almost everything from above the waterproofing and deck so that they can install a new waterproofing membrane and finish new buildings. They will then restore the landscaping and in the future, below the landscaping, there is an existing perforated drain line that helps remove any water on the deck from rain or irrigation to the edge of the building and to a stormwater drainage off of the structure. As this work is site work, although on the structure, their civil consultant addressed it in their drawing. Their mechanical consultant noted that as in the soil, it is not something that they would design. They believe that this is a gray area and they're asking for the board to allow those drawings to be accepted, the drawings by the civil consultant to be acceptable for the project. Pacific Architects, I see you're in the building. Would you like to give any more details or any testimony?
And if you do.
I understand you're muted right now. You'll have to click the raise hand if you want. We'll leave it. Okay. Is there other testimony? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and introduce yourself as well. Thank you.
Hi. I'm Mike Silva, Michael Silva, that's the full name. I'm a building official with the Department of Planning and Permitting. Thank you for considering this issue. And I noticed a lot of names I've seen over the years, finally get a chance to put faces to the names. Thank you for taking time to consider this issue of whether a civil engineer or mechanical engineer is appropriate to perform the design work for this 1-story above grade roof deck. Parking garage. The subject was raised as a result of our understanding of the description and definitions in Hawaii Revised Statutes 464 and the Hawaii Administrative Rules 16-115 as they relate to work referenced in Hawaii Administrative Rules 16-80, state and city building codes, and the state and city plumbing codes. We brought this issue up because the proposed work is signed by a civil engineer. To our understanding, civil engineering piping design only begins 5 feet beyond the building. The proposed work is for the roof deck drainage system above the parking garage. Though it is my responsibility to raise this issue as a building official, my official credentials have been brought into question by the design team as to whether I am qualified to address the concern. The question if I were even a licensed engineer. So for the record, I am a licensed mechanical engineer in the state of Hawaii. I'm also a licensed civil engineer in the state of Hawaii. I am the former I'm the former chief of building safety and chief of the building division for the Department of Planning and Permitting, where I was responsible for oversight of the building code, the mechanical code, the electrical code, the plans review, stormwater quality and research branches for the city of Caltech for Honolulu. I have been associated with civil and mechanical engineering piping design for nearly 44 years. Should the board determine that it is acceptable for a civil engineer to design the roof deck drainage system for the Civic Center parking garage, we respectfully request clarification on two related items. First, would your decision apply to roof deck drainage systems for other buildings with green roofs, whether single-story or multi-story? Secondly, would the provisions of Hawaii Administrative Rules 16-80-4, which requires licensed journey worker plumbers or master plumbers, still apply given that the roof deck drainage system is plumbing work within 5-foot perimeter of the building? In contrast, civil engineering construction is normally done by general contractors beyond 5 foot of the building rather than plumbing contractors. So we would appreciate if you could provide some insight on that. Want to make sure we're consistent with where the board stands in our application of the rules and ordinances and laws. So thank you for your time. I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any comments to be offered by the board? Okay, I will offer a comment, Tony Lau, on the chair. I'm also the civil engineer on the board. I would tend to agree generally that the normal typical delineation between where a mechanical design and a civil design is a 5-foot boundary beyond a building. But I think in this case, in this application, it is sort of a gray area. I think in common practice, a civil engineer has more experience with designing drain lines that are varied. So I think it wouldn't, in my professional opinion, it would be appropriate still for a civil to be able to seal drawings for a drainage design, even though it's within the building envelope. Yes.
I'm a landscape architect. We do rooftop gardens. Oftentimes rooftop gardens have smaller planter boxes, and then you have the drainage system, basically a drain inlet that is probably designed and provided for on the design by a mechanical engineer. But in the case of this Civic Center building, it's an extensive landscape on top of a roof deck. And so there's soil throughout the areas minus some of the hardscape areas. And so a subsurface drainage system is necessary beyond just inlets that are basically part of the building structure. The drainage system is sitting on top of the building envelope, but although it is within the envelope itself, but I think, again, yeah, it is sort of a gray area, but I would say that civil engineer would have more expertise in designing such a system as opposed to a mechanical engineer. But I can't speak for a mechanical, and unfortunately, Kevin Takayama, who's our mechanical engineer on the board, is not present today. But having worked on roof gardens before, it's an integrated design process. It's not a single discipline that required to project.
I think I would agree that a civil engineer has probably more extensive experience in the subsurface drainage systems that are being designed. We don't test that. We want to make sure that we are consistent with the understanding of the licensing jurisdictional limitations. And so that's why we made the comment.
And I will offer, thank you for bringing it forward. It is a little bit of a unique situation. Any other comments?
So since you're both said you're civil and mechanical, I guess my question is, If it was your job, which discipline would you use to design and step? Would you be civil, would you be mechanical?
I would. Okay, so I would put on my civil engineering hat to design the system, but I would step as a mechanical because it's above the roof deck. It's above the parking structure. Because it's above the parking structure, because mechanical engineering design and plumbing contractors are the ones that install piping in the building and above the building. So, that's just the way I've always done it. Unfortunately, it's hard sometimes for me to distinguish between mechanical and civil, except for that 5 foot boundary.
Yes, Joe.
So, I was contacted, by Mr. Murakami, because my firm does work with them, not specifically to this project, but, I was contacted and we had a discussion, about this and, my understanding, according to Mr. Murakami, was that when they started the project with the design team, the mechanical engineer told him that, oh, I don't do subsurface drain. And so, which is why the civil engineer actually designed it and stamped it. But I understand with the position and
The Uniform Plumbing Code, Chapter 11 covers subsurface drainage. So, which is normally under the mechanical engineer's jurisdiction.
Any other comments? Hearing none, do you have what you were looking for from?
Actually, we would like clarification on whether it would apply to other buildings, green roof structure, green roof tops. You're going to be seeing quite a bit more of that in the coming years. And we would like to know how to apply the law and the codes. And then also clarification on which type of contractor would be allowed to do this work. The civil engineering work is normally done by general contractors, non-licensed plumbing workers, and we've been having issues with that. Is any issue?
It depends that, I think those questions are outside the scope of what was agendized for the board to consider. I don't think it'd be appropriate for the board to take any action. Discuss things that hasn't been agendized. I know it's tangentially, but I think that what's presented to the board is pretty specific. And I think if we were to, if the board were to consider this, it would have to be a next meeting where agendized and members of the public, they have, their own thoughts are allowed.
This is Nancy Cassandra, landscape architect. So are there any provisions where the board can decide or grant an exception? Kind of like how you do departments where, okay, this is an exception, we're granting it because of this. It only applies to this project because it's been inspected without having to change the whole law again.
Like I used to give an exception to the rule, for like the involved in the rule in an application. Just. I mean, I'm not aware of. I think typically it wouldn't. I don't know if we would technically characterize it as an exception, or maybe other boards do, but I think what I've seen other, like for example, the contractors board, where there's ambiguity, the board takes in all the facts and based on what's presented, they clarify how they interpret which, for example, what specialty contractor from that would apply as opposed to accepting the certain situation from the law. It's more of a term of interpretation of, of our laws and rules, how it was applied in a certain thing. It's not supposed to accept it. That makes sense. Yeah, yes, yeah. And I would hesitate to characterize it as that.
So for the second question, specifically the contractors and which types of contractors do. I know that you were on the agenda for the contractor meeting on February 20th. You still have time to get back on that. I would recommend taking that question paper on one. We have until the 14th, so you have 2 days. So, but then, I'm sorry for that short notice, but they need to post their agenda 6 days before the meeting. So if you reach out, it'll probably be before that. But bringing it back to this conversation to our agenda, sounds like it's boiling it down. It's deciding if it's mechanical or if it's civil. I think, we'll have to make a motion for that.
I'll subject with a share member on the board. It's not something new. I know there's lots of really on Oahu that have landscaping. So I'm wondering, do you have any records that can tell us who has been stepping in?
For the Civic Center parking garage, I am told, never seen the drawings, I've been trying to find them. Yeah, a civil engineer did have the original design back. They said in their eighties, I think it was. Other buildings that we've seen that roofs, but only the landscape architect for the drainage or exactly. I've never, honestly, this is the first time I've seen staff plans for a being on top of the building.
What I'm trying to do is establish the standard of care that we have. I think that the paper that put it the extensiveness of the area, the roof deck itself, basically. And which is why I think, the civil engineer that originally done, because it's such a large area. Typically, in many roof gardens, you have more hardscape, right? And then you have smaller planters around. This case is very different now. I know that the police station parking garage is very similar too, and it's an extensive landscape. I'm kind of curious, how that project is permitted.
All right, I wasn't around the city back then.
No, but it's not something that is. There are a lot of examples of the renovation is for Admiral College, but it's a smaller. And I think you could have little drain index coming out of the. We're up to Capri Plaza. Capri Plaza makes expensive landscape. Wondering if they would
So Tony Lau, again, Chair, I would offer up maybe one final set of comments. I guess the main thing would be you would want to ensure that you have someone with proper expertise doing the design for whatever application it is. I mean, there are other gray areas to consider, especially between civil and mechanical. For example, for pumps. Pumps, both mechanicals and civil has expertise. So because of that, I think both civils and mechanicals can steal plans regarding pumps. So this could be, again, one of those unique situations where because of the extensive landscape and because civil do have a lot of more broader experience with subsurface drainage, maybe in this case it perhaps is more appropriate for a civil with their expertise to take on this design. And I think as far as if a civil were to design it, but that would cause probably some issues where the person sealing the drawings would need to have supervised the design, and that would cause a little bit of awkwardness. Someone want to make some motions to offer our opinion?
Just to make sure, we, as DPP, we don't have, I'm not saying it has to be one discipline or the other. We get made the comment because we don't normally see when you're doing that kind of building, that kind of design, and we will apply whatever the board decides.
Well, I'll offer up a motion. Move that, EASLA board offers an opinion that a civil engineer, would be an appropriate, discipline to, sign and seal a set of drawings regarding, an excessive landscape area built, on the top of a truck. That's fair enough.
I just want to make sure that I think that they encourage it all, kind of like a one. I don't know if I think the board intends to take it broadly and to every time one is deck is that we presented.
Okay. I will amend that long motion. Perhaps revising amending to the EASLA board, offers an opinion that in the case of the civic center parking structure project, that a civil planning and sealing drawing regarding the subsurface drainage system of the landscaped area would be appropriate. Second by Nancy. Any comments? All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any nays or
Aye.
recusals? Hearing none, motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next on the agenda, item 3B, report for presentation at the 2026. Pacific Water Conference, Young Professionals Pre-Conference. Any public testimony? Okay, hearing none, I'll go into, so, I had the opportunity, I was invited to present at the 2026 Pacific Water Conference, Young Professionals Pre-Conference, meeting held this past Tuesday, February 12th, they asked me to speak on professional licensure in the state of Hawaii. I think this gave an opportunity to continue one of our past days that talked about clarifying professional licensure in Hawaii. One of the goals of that from the big report was to conduct further outreach. And so I was able to present to a group of about 30 young engineers. A number of them were not licensed yet, but they had all passed at the primarily the group was consisting of civils with a few environmental. So it was a good discussion. There was a lot of questions. I think it was receptive, and I have a feeling they'll probably be inviting us to participate in it. So wanted to make sure it was on the record that we are continuing some of the recommendations from the big comments. Yep. Hearing no further comments, agenda item 3, agenda item number 4, 2026 legislative session. I'm going to ask Eli to go forward and bring forward some of the bills of interest to the.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So the 2026 legislative session is going. So we have several bills that we're tracking right now. We'll start with there's a part that was accompanying the agenda that has the kind of summary of each bill that we're tracking right now. And the floor vote. The first one that's grayed out I should say, was SB 1625, that is no longer, was not introduced in the section, and it was rewritten and introduced as a different bill from the state. Yeah, I'll get to that, in a second. Coming back to these two at the top there, that are the orange color. HB 1720 and SB 3290 are companion bills. And they are both clarifying that county employees code compliance review of plans for construction applicable to specific engineering fields is considered lawful experience in engineering work for purposes of professional engineering licensure. So this is very similar to some bills that were introduced in the past, and there was page form to research and investigate. Ultimately, that bill reported that they were not in favor, and the board, after board discussion, the board testified to legislative section strongly opposed to these two bills. So these are new bills, saying pretty much making great use of that factor of considering plan review as engineering experience. They have not gone to hearing yet, but I take tracking and I will let you all know when it does go to hearing. So you can all testify yourselves this hearing, and we will have board testimony prepared to that as well. Any discussion on this meeting?
Any public testimony regarding the first two bills discussed? No public, any comments? No.
Why is the house, I don't think so. I'm still learning when you're watching, but it's still fresh. So anybody knows more than I know. This trip up, but thanks for that. Comparing though, this I think it's a way to set out bills to those through legislation. With the exchange of so
The board sent a letter to this bill last year. Did we follow up this for this last year?
You're talking about 1720?
Yeah, 1720, yes.
Yes, so the previous bill that ended up coming through the House, we did submit and do verbal testimony, both when it was presented in the House and presented at the Senate. Ultimately, during conference committee, the bill was held for the House side because we had not finished the PIG report. And so it was agreed upon that they would pause that bill. Ultimately, the PIG was completed and submitted. I'm assuming for the record. It included, strong opposition to the bill, as well as other course of action recommendations.
And so that was the House bill just went last year, and so this year they added the companion Senate.
Where it was only allowed, again, this, there was a Senate bill also,
Otherwise,
I don't know exactly what happened, but they ended up going more forward with the House bill to go through.
I think in essence, it's doubling down. It's up the chances of it.
One thing of note, I guess the previous bill that was presented, I think it was 2 years ago now. It was referred to CPC on the House side, only CPC, and on the Senate side, it was referred to only CPN. This time around, it's been referred to two committees on both sides of the legislature.
Does the board have the same, or does the board have the same opinion as what we testified last time? So I can use those testimonials and let it the same opinions.
So Tony Lau, as the chair of the PIG, I would strongly recommend that we hold to the Hague findings and recommendation, which is opposition to the bill. The bill currently presented is pretty much verbatim to what was presented last time.
Sounds good. We have.
Any other comments?
I think because of the Howard Lau, structural engineer member, I think because the board makeup is different from 2 years ago, you'd have to poll each member to see if we have the same opinion as 2 years ago. Personally, I have the same opinion.
Okay, that's a fair assessment. So why don't we go ahead and poll the current board members. We'll start with the ones that are participating virtually. So Janet Permiano. Your opinion?
Yes, Janet Permiano, public member on the board. I do agree with what Howard had suggested, and that we go ahead and utilize the information that was presented 2 years ago, if that is okay with the rest of the board. So I agree with that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. John Takatani.
John Takitani, public member. I agree with the decision made 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you. Those in the room, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of the board when that decision was made, so I still stand with that decision.
Lisa.
Alyssa Carson, architect. Yeah, I agree with what was decided 2 years ago.
Joe.
Yes, I also agree with the PIG report that was originally submitted.
Joe. Alan.
I stand with the big report. Yeah.
Clayton.
I support the pig report from 2 years ago.
Howard, for the record.
For the record, I also support what decision we made 2 years ago.
And Nancy Cassandra, landscape architect, yes, I support the PIG report decision.
I think you can make a motion just to maybe just to.
Okay. So Tony Lau, I will make a motion that EASLA board holds the same opinion on House Bill 1720 and Senate Bill 3290, that we object to the what is being proposed to clarify as written.
I'll second that motion. Howard Lau, structural engineer.
Any comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any recusals? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much for that. Moving right along to our next bill relating to landscape architects. This is SB 2607. This was the content of the bill was what SB 1625 was all about. But Senator Moriwaki ended up writing up a new bill and introducing that with almost the same language, but also including some comments and that we submitted to them as a board. So it has been referred, it hasn't gone to hearing yet, but it's been referred to CPN. And it's introduced by Senators Moriwaki, Chang, and Hashimoto.
Any public comments?
See, Chair.
Okay, none. Any comments from the board?
I do. Joel Krukal, landscape architect. Yeah, so apparently Senator Moriwaki introduced a new bill, which was originally submitted last year as SB 1625. The board discussed it. I can't remember exactly when, but we created a PIG group to look at the proposal to, and it's basically around adopting the uniform standard, which was developed by CLARB with the American Society of Landscape Architects and the Council Council of Educators in Landscape Architecture. And however, the way this bill is written does not actually make those changes to change the requirements for landscape architecture licensure directly, because the details of those requirements are in our statute. And there appears to be a contradiction in our statute, the HRS 464 section 7, which is referring to the powers and duties of the board. And I'm going to read a portion of this section so that everybody, and I'm not a legal expert on it, but I'm just reading what I'm seeing on page. And it says, in addition to any powers and duties authorized by law, the board may compel the attendance of witnesses upon subpoena, administer oaths, take testimony, and do all the other things necessary and proper to carry out this chapter in all matters within its jurisdiction. It shall adopt and have an official seal and adopt, subject to Chapter 91, which are administrative rules, the processes that are defined, and with the approval of the governor and the director of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, rules for the performance of its duties and the carrying on of its business and the enforcement of this chapter, including but not limited to rules which define the branches of engineering in which licensure shall be offered, clarify the qualifications needed for licensure, and set forth practice requirements. It shall have a chairperson, and it goes on and on. But it says the board power and duty is to set forth practice requirements. However, those requirements are also in this law, and therefore we do not have the authority to make those changes. And which is why the bill, going back to this bill, 2607 now, as Senator Moriwaki submitted in this legislative session, proposes to remove the details of landscape architecture requirements, that language, and instead replace it with the framework for licensure of landscape architects, which are a type of education, certain type of experience, and examination, well, including the Hawaii plant materials examination, in addition to the national LARE exam. And so by doing that, it then allows and gives the board the authority to set forth practice requirements so that we would just be able to make those changes in our HAR. The other thing that I just want to, and the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up, because I'm trying to understand, well, if the details of landscape architecture requirements are in the law, what's the purpose of having the HAR? Right? And so, which is why I bring this up. In part, that this bill is meant for us to have this discussion, to understand and have a single understanding of what the law means. And so, anyway, that's my comment, and I'll open it up for this discussion.
Yeah, thank you. I want to add that just with my basic understanding, as much as I'm learning, I found that in the bill, it takes out quite a bit of language that you were talking about the pathways for, depending on a person's education, the length of experience or time experience that they need to have. And this bill also takes away the no degree pathway as well. Some of that is reflected in the HAR, but only in sections like I couldn't find the no degree pathway requiring 12 years of experience. I found that under licensure by examination, but not by endorsement. So there's some nuance that we need to really address.
Yeah, I did find an error in Senator Moriwaki's bill regarding if you have a landscape architect's degree, it's the item number 2 that's in the bill. Basically, she was using Sheena Choi's, our previous executive officer's comment and letter sent to Senator Moriwaki in response to that original bill, 1625, SB 1625. And she wanted to make sure that it does not exclude the requirement for the Hawaii exam as well. But with the error that I found that Senator Moriwaki's bill, this current bill, has that she eliminated the requirement for the national exam, but it was just because it's embedded in that paragraph and it was all struck out, but we would keep that so that it would retain the requirement for the national exam. So there's, I found that, and really trying to look at it.
Absolutely. I apologize. I meant to set the tone for this conversation with the the understanding that the senator's office is expecting the EASLA board to come to review the bill's language and come back with our own edits. So this is our opportunity to go through the language and make edits and such that we'll include in our testimony, and they are expecting us to give revisions ourselves too.
Yeah. So, I've been, involved with this, being involved with the Council of Landscape Architecture Registration Boards and being a board member of that organization. Now, as a board member here, I'm not representing Clark, but the uniform standard that we're trying to move toward, we could just swap out the language, the details in the law. But the thing that keeps coming back to me is that the way the law is written gives the board the authority to set forth practice. And that's where I wanted to have the discussion, because I would think that the easier route may be to just change the requirements directly into the law, which is the way for architects and engineers. We're all written the same way. And some folks have been opining that it's because it's a balance of power, that you don't want to give the board full authority to make changes to practice requirements, that it has to go through legislature. But the law doesn't say that. And that's what I want clarification on.
Well, I know that I'm some of the people that are opining, but I question what the consequences would be to totally eradicate the HRS process. So we would be different from all the other disciplines here on the board. And I view us as one entity. I question, is it wise for us to be different from everyone else in the way that our licensing laws would be governed in perpetuity? So does that make it more difficult for Eli and our legal counsel? Oh no, wait, yours is completely different. Or how would the challenges be? By removing the language from the HRS, it doesn't go, the HAR can operate without the legislative process. Are we removing an opportunity for public input? Whereas now the way the law is written, there's the HRS and the HAR. So we have two opportunities for public input and review. And with all of the chipping away of the democratic process that's going on right now, I hate to be part of that. And I just, I don't interpret the language in the HRS that gives the authority to the board the same as you. I interpret it as this is the board that sets the rules. There's no outside party that sets the rules. So ASLA and CLARB or ARC or anybody else don't have the rules. This is a multidisciplinary board, and we're the ones that set the HAR rules. And that by agreeing what the requirements, specifics that all of us agree on first, then we can change HRS and HAR. And maybe they go in as a companion bill together. That's one approach. But I think the purpose of the PIG report was to have a documented comparison of Hawaii state laws compared with CLARB and the benefits it would be to our state to adopt those requirements. And I think that when we presented the December 11th PIG report, that was an agreement, but it was open for discussion on further language on how to implement this. So that's how I left it in December 11th. And I know that Senator Moriwaki revised this, but it was a surprise to me. So
Yeah, same here, because my discussions that I was having with the senator were occurring before we had our December board meeting. And at that time, she was trying to go the administrative bill route rather than the way we did it last year. And by the time she had contacted the Director Ando, she had already packaged the administrative, for this department and sent it on to the governor's office. And so that was it was just left that way. And so she, prior to Sheena leaving her position, she wrote a letter in response to SB 1625 that we had originally submitted. Right. Yeah. And that's what she tried to incorporate into the current bill. But no, I definitely understand. I just want to get clarity, and I think maybe Jordan, our deputy AG, can maybe provide a legal interpretation of what 464 section 7 means.
I mean, I'm happy to. I mean, I think the board can take that in executive session if it so pleases. If not, we can, but that's up to the board. There's a basis too, because you're going to be providing advice on your power studies and so.
Okay, so is there a motion to move into executive session in accordance with HRS 92-4 and 92-5A4 to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities? So, second.
Nancy, second.
Moved by Howard, seconded by Nancy. Any nays, recusals, abstentions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move into executive session.
Yeah, maybe just note, maybe explain what we did in executive session and just say we're taking a quick break and.
Yeah, we're back.
Hi, so we're back in open session. Just let everybody know that we just concluded executive session to get some clarification from council. We are taking an informal break of about 5 minutes, and we will be back to discussion shortly.
Should be back.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. We're back in open session here. Again, we're in the process of discussing the board position on Senate Bill 2607. Just asking for the board, trying to get a pulse of where everybody's thoughts are on whether to support or not support this bill. Can we offer opinions?
So I'll offer the first one. Nancy Cassandra, landscape architect. I think I would not support the language as written. I would prefer for the bill to be reflective of and be more compatible with the other disciplines on the board's language and their laws. I think that changing it to a framework is a larger discussion for how the licensing laws could be governed as a whole. And so I would prefer for the language to reflect our other licensing laws for the other disciplines.
And see others.
Yeah, so like just a point of clarification, that you like to see the details, just change the details to reflect the uniform standard rather in the law, in the HRS, in section 8, and amend that rather than taking it out and replacing it with the framework.
Yes.
Okay, other positions?
Yeah, Brian, I would agree with that.
Okay, just for my own clarification, we're recommending to the senator's office, or for what you said is recommending to the senator's office that we include pretty much all the language that was taken out and just that applies to the other disciplines, surveys, engineers and such, and specify that we're specifically adopting for landscape architects the uniform standards set by Clark. So that the other disciplines that refer to section 8 here for their experience requirements and such, that language is not taken away, creating a vacuum.
Right. No other discipline would be effective. What we're effectively changing are the landscape architect's requirements for education experience and exam to be reflective of the uniform standard. So you mentioned that in the surveyors law, they have a language that just refers to the HRS. I mean, I think that that's a good reference for now. Because like you said, there's a vacuum, right? The HRS changes to where the HAR would be adopted. So there would be a space and time where they're going to be different. So.
Are there comments? There's no other comments, would somebody like to make a motion?
Can I ask a question? Is there some, like during our legislative meetings, which is like in the next month, is there a way where we can think about a letter and the exact language and how we want to propose this as a comments back to Senator Morawacki's office so we can really agree that we're all on the same page?
This is our opportunity to do it all together. We can do it if you and I meet together, if I meet with 2 board members can meet, but no more than 2. So I can meet with you and we can absolutely do it. Fine, yes.
And would that be something that after we come up with this language and proposal or letter back, would that be something that all the board members can review and then we vote on it? Or do we need to vote
So,
for something now?
I think, I don't think we would be able to before the next board meeting if Yeah, to get approval, it'd have to be at a board meeting. Happy just to like an email to everyone because that violates sunshine. So I think what the process would be is I think you guys designated liaisons. So if the board so chooses to adopt just the general, I think what's been moved on, you have that as your framework to, okay, we can after this meeting that you can articulate your position inconsistent with the board. And you don't have to get approval of that because the board has designated you as the liaison to. But you can certainly run it by them at the next meeting. Just because, you know, for all we know, this is going to get called for hearing, you know, on Monday or Tuesday or, you know, yeah.
So the
Because
hearing may come.
it may come up soon,
Okay.
yeah, and so that's why it wouldn't necessarily come back to the board. We can't guarantee that it would come back to the board before the hearing be called, but that's why you designate liaisons to craft the testimony and you folks request that.
So to use an example, just had Nancy, Joel, and I could meet if we designate Joel and Nancy as the liaisons, and we could draft up a letter this weekend and have it ready, or send it over to the senator's office before it even goes to hearing.
Okay.
I think you might,
But we need a motion now for the board to approve of.
the general position, yeah. So long as your testimony is consistent with what the board adopts as their general position, then that's fine.
Yeah. And so my understanding of what we're going to do is amend the section 8 of HRS 464-8, which, and I think it's section D is the landscape architect section, and replace the language where, I mean, it has all the details, the report, education, experience, examination. And the only thing that we're going to do is replace the current language, the current requirements with the language that reflects the uniform standard. We're not going to just say CLARB uniform standard, although I know that there are jurisdictions that have done that so that they don't have to explain what it is because it allows for changes to occur without having to go through that process. But I think, you know, to make it reflective of and similar to how it's written now, that language is already written in the PIG report. We have all the, you know, all those different pathways.
And I'm sorry, I may have not been perfectly clear for the HRS 64A. It does have the language for the other disciplines at section A, B, C. D is only for landscape architects. So just to clarify that, I'm sorry, I think
Okay, so we are only amending HRS 464-8 section E for landscape architects
yes.
to reflect the uniform national standards by CLAR, which was previously approved by the board on December 11th.
Okay, do we have a motion so we can get the board's position?
Okay.
Start getting into the.
We'll make a
The
motion.
current uniform national standard as it currently reads, not for any future.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's what it is now. So that we wouldn't say anything about CLARB uniform standard.
As it currently,
Oh, we would
Yeah,
just.
we just provide all the details that are reflective of what the
Oh, you're
uniform
gonna-
standard says. Yeah.
So we could use the text from the. uniform
Yes.
standard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a little bit roundabout, but I feel like that we.
Do we have a
all-
motion? Do we have a motion?
I move.
What do you move?
That's what MC style.
So my guess is you're making a motion to take a general position supporting House, Senate Bill 2607 with subject to comments for the details.
Second.
Okay. Any nays, recusals, abstentions? All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next, House Bill 124.
Okay, moving right along. Ongoing business, let's see, section 5A.
House Bill 124.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, yes. Goodness, all the bills. To the next bills. Let's see, there are two bills relating to professional land surveyors. They're very similar, but they are not companion bills. They're both establishing a statute of repose prohibiting commencement of a civil action against a professional land surveyor. These bills are creating a 10-year statute of limitations, so to speak, for land surveyors. They have not, they were carried over from the 2026 regular session, but have not yet. So I'm just trying to keep it. No attention's been given to them yet.
Question, it says on line 4 on 124 that against amendment states no civil action. Does that exclude, it's something serious? On line 4, it says against frivolous lawsuits, but then proposed 6.4 it says no civil action shall be commenced against it. In other words, frivolous or non-frivolous. All professionals should.
So I don't think it's providing that no civil action shall ever be commenced against land survey. It's saying civil action shall be commenced against a professional land surveyor if the 10 years has elapsed since the latter of the date of the completion of the contract. So I think it's just saying, if 10 years passes, and you can't initiate the civil action.
Years later, most people have survey maybe once in their lifetime.
I mean, that's just what it's proposing.
After 10 years, no.
I think that's what it's suggesting. And then there's similar statutes for like contractors, I think.
I'm so sorry, that was a headache.
I know, I've got this one and the next one. And one is to start immediately. That's the House bill or the Senate bill or any one particular one that will get precedent. Others are not familiar with the process.
No, it just depends on where it originates, but they still technically go through the same I mean, they mirror, each other's legislative process. But yeah, that's just a lot of times the effective date, they have set it out if they just want to encourage more discussion, but it doesn't necessarily, they'll change it back sometimes. They'll make it like year 3000 sometimes.
Maybe 50. And the other one is, effective immediately.
Sandra, did we set up board position last year?
I don't think we did.
What is that?
I asked if we set a board position last year, like, did we send a letter last year?
Carry over from last year, so.
I believe we just tracked it. We didn't,
Yeah.
also because it was carried over, it looks like it didn't go to hearing.
They just track it just for their own, and then if it is amended further and they wanna, provide comments, then they'll do that.
So at this point in time, is there comments on what our position should be on these?
We don't have to have a position, but if we want to have a position, we should prepare, support or oppose.
It looks like, I'm sorry, it's like 1506. It looks like HB 124. I don't think it was called for hearing. SB 1506, it looks like the board provided comments at least.
Being that it's carried over from previous sessions, is it the same bill numbers? Being that it's carried over,
Yeah, it's gonna be the same.
Same number, yeah.
Yeah, something about.
Yeah. I think it said that the inclusion of language, no civil action in this bill appears to adequately address the board's, I can't say what the position is, sorry, on the topic, but the board did offer comments on this measure.
Does the board want to just, continue just tracking the bill, or do we want to take a position? Just want to get a pulse. Alan?
Well, I don't know, I'd like to consult with other surveyors if possible, regarding the. Same here.
Hearing your comments, I guess at this point, it sounds good that we just track it. Okay. This part should be fine. Okay, moving on, agenda item number 5, ongoing business. Steve Panoni, PE 2127A license condition update. We have Mr. Panoni,
Yes, he is here today.
offering Mr. Panoni an opportunity to speak.
Sure.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Panone. As a condition of my license, when I became licensed a year ago, I was instructed I was to report every 6 months to the board of the activities that I've been performing in the state of Hawaii. As of the end of the year, I had 2 projects. I finished the fourth sewer main project, and I worked for White Sand Village condominiums. They were replacing their backflow preventers. And other than that, I have no other work there, and just reporting the work that I've done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Panoni.
Is part of that conditional approval said that I could request that this requirement be removed. I will continue it, whatever your board decides. I am happy to apply whatever needs to be done, but I would like to request if I could have this requirement removed. I do 1 or 2 projects a year in your state, and I would just like to have that removed.
Okay, before we request Mr. Panone, is there a motion to move into executive session, to consider Mr. Lisa, Alyssa, motions and.
Motion.
Any nays, recusals, abstentions?
Sorry, just to clarify, just so that we don't go in and out, I mean, we can do both, but like, would you wanna just, I think there's only one, is there only one application? So maybe we can go for item 5 and 6 so that we can
Okay.
discuss both, so we don't have to go,
Okay.
and then we
Okay.
can.
Before we go into executive session, or consider the motion, let's, discuss, agenda item 6 applications and, for Mr. Jorge Gonzalez. Or we can.
It's executive session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we'll amend the motion. Is there a motion to move into executive session to discuss both, Steve Panone's, request for, to continually update his license condition, and to discuss Mr. Gonzalez, application. And this, still, and Nancy second. Any nays, recusals, abstentions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Okay, we will move into executive session. Thanks everybody for your patience as we get through this. We are back in open session, back on again on agenda item number 5 regarding Mr. Stephen Panone's license condition update. Mr. Panone, I just wanted to make you aware, at this time, we thank you for your request to end the reporting, but at this time, the board is inclined to deny the request. So we'll continue reporting, but we'll take a formal vote right now. Is there a motion regarding Mr. Panone's reporting?
Landscape architect, I make a motion that we deny Mr. Steve Panone's request, and we'll continue with the board's original agreement.
Okay, just repeat that. Nancy Cassandros made a motion to deny Mr. Panone's request to discontinue reporting and to discontinue. Is there a second? Second by Alyssa. Any nays, recusals, or abstentions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Panone, for showing up today, and thank you for the reporting.
You're welcome. We'll see you in 6 months.
Thank you. Agenda item 6, applications. There's an application for Mr. Jorge Gonzalez. Is there a motion?
Brian Fujiwara, architect member, I move that we accept his application.
Your second. Second by Nancy. Any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion passes. Ratification lists, which are attached to the agenda. Any public testimony? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the ratification list?
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Seconded by Alan. Any nays, recusals, abstentions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. The recommendations from the following application review committee, professional engineers committee, I'm gonna take it all at once. Professional architect committee, professional surveyor committee, and professional landscape architect committee. Any public testimony? Hearing none? Okay.
Sure. Sorry.
Motion to approve the recommendations from the application review committee. Sir, so moved by Alyssa. Is there a second? Second by Howard. Any nays, recusals, or abstentions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, we already did item C. So next on the agenda, next meeting. We are currently scheduled for our special legislative meeting, which is on Thursday, March 12th at 10 o'clock. Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 12:25.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
The hard one,
Well, that was gonna be for one and having a little.
Yeah.